I've not stopped using this tool since I found it, both personally and with Claude Code and Cursor via an MCP. It is the replacement for Stack Overflow, not just an LLM on its own. What I mean by that is, when you're trying to use a library and something's not well documented and your LLM is just absolutely hallucinating code all over the place because maybe it's a niche function or a new one. Well, where do you go now, since Stack Overflow is dead? The answer to that is grep.app. This lets you search GitHub in milliseconds, and it is honestly insane. Look how quickly this can load in results. It can literally do it as I type. If I search for a function that I was trying to find some usage of, in my case it was a convert from markdown function from the lexical package, you can see as I type $convert here, we're seeing the results for that immediately. And literally every character I put in, we're seeing new results coming from that search query. It is insane that they've got it going this fast, and it's searching millions of GitHub repositories. If I finish this off with convert from markdown here, you can see I have an example of how to use this function in a project, and in this case, it's from Payload CMS. You can see on the right here, I can also filter down by repository too. So maybe I just wanted some official examples in the Facebook lexical repo, or I can even go down by path too. So maybe you're working with the Next.js app router and you want to know how something works in there. You could just search for app/ and then find results of other people doing it. You can even filter it down by language too, and it just blows my mind how quick this is. If I select JSON, immediately the JSON results appear. Now up here you can see as well, we can use match case, match whole words, and use regular expressions, which gives me an idea. People don't actually put API keys on GitHub, do they? Well, it turns out they do. I put in a regex here for the OpenAI API key, and you can see that I got a few results back. Now, I blurred them just in case I am going to leak anyone's credentials. I'm sure most of these don't work anyway. I assume OpenAI also runs a scan, and it can disable public keys. You can see here in the first one, this is actually just a test from the keyshade package itself, which, based on the name of it, I assume does something similar to actually just hiding API keys. But then we do have a few projects in here that does look like they did put their API keys into the code. Don't do that. This is actually something that I saw on Twitter. It seems like security researchers do know to use grep.app to search not only for API keys, but they also look for projects that are using outdated versions of packages that contain a vulnerability. That way they can go and report that project as being vulnerable as well. I'm not recommending that use case unless you're actually going to report the vulnerability, but in my use case, I actually look for projects that are using a newer version of a package so I can get good examples of how to use that new version, as I find sometimes Google gives you bad results for like React Router v6 in this case, and also LLMs don't tend to have the up-to-date knowledge in that context. With this, all I need to do is search for React Router v7, and I can find a bunch of different projects that are already using it, and maybe look into them and see how they structure that code. Now, don't worry, if you're a person who likes to vibe, they have an MCP server as well, so you can use their search results as context for your LLM. Installing it is as simple as just adding this code into your cursor mcp.json, or even just using this command to add it to Claude Code. What's really cool is when you have it installed, you don't actually need to reference the MCP server all the time. Obviously, you can if you want it to use it specifically. If I just say what's the right way to use convert from markdown in lexical, if I hit enter here, after a bit of combobulating, Claude is going to ask me if it can run the tool. We can actually see what the tool call is up here to get some insight. It says it's using the search from GitHub tool on grep. It's looking for convert from markdown, and it's also put in my languages that I'm using in my project of TypeScript and JavaScript. You can see it says this tool searches for literal code patterns like grep, not keywords. And then it also says when to use this tool. So this is how the agent is going to pick up on how to use this automatically without you referencing it. So it says when implementing unfamiliar APIs or libraries and you need to see real usage patterns, when unsure about correct syntax, to go off to GitHub. And it's perfect for questions like how do developers handle authentication in Next.js, because it can go off and look at real examples and just loads of other things. If I go ahead and hit yes here and don't ask again, we can see that it's actually found a few of the repositories that we were looking at earlier, like Payload CMS, Facebook Lexical, and loads more. And now it has the correct knowledge in its context, so it's described to me how to actually use the function itself if I want to go off and code this manually. But obviously, I'm a vibe coder, so I'll just say implement this for me. And there we go, I can see in Cursor that it's added in the code for the convert from markdown function that I wanted to use, and it's done it correctly. This was how I was actually using it in my project when I needed to get to it, and it was something that I couldn't see being well documented. Hopefully then you can see why I think this is the perfect replacement of Stack Overflow. Not only you, but also your LLM are now way smarter. LLMs aren't going to hallucinate those niche libraries and functions, or the new ones either. You can literally just load in real code usage into its context. Let me know in the comments if you'd heard of this tool before, and I'm also curious what your favorite MCP servers are. While you're down there, subscribe, and as always, see you in the next one.